This is Glambition Radio, episode number 301, Conscious Capitalism and Earwax with Elyse Dickerson.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Glambition Radio.
Welcome to Glambition Radio. I am your host, Allie Brown. I'm an entrepreneur, mentor, investor, and founder of The Trust, the modern premier network for 7- and 8-figure women leaders. I love thinking big, doing different, and exploring ideas that disrupt the status quo, especially when it comes to women, because we are creating the new models for leadership, business success, making money, and changing the world. And hey, we're doing it with style. So let's go. Hello from Iconic. We are here in Phoenix getting the event ready. It's happening on November 2nd and 3rd. And we have dozens of women flying in for this elevated conversation. I'd like to call this a big reset for us. You know, we all are working so hard. We're innovating our industries. We're doing our thing. It can be very isolating. And then we come together for these powerful conversations. And, you know, we do that in The Trust, but Iconic is a little different because it's women from many different levels of entrepreneurship. I'm thrilled, though, to share that the majority of the ones in the room are well over 1 million. Just the ones we attract are incredible. And we have a lot of new ladies coming this year. It's going to be great. Follow on social, especially Instagram, to see what we're up to. And enjoy the show. I'm going to keep this quick today, but Elyse Dickerson is a really interesting woman. She had an incredible career in healthcare and pharma, and then saw a very simple need. This is what I want you to pay attention to. A very simple need. It was a gap in the market for a problem that people had, a consumer health problem. And she saw that no one was really leading this and jumping in with a fantastic product. And the category is earwax. Started with earwax, right? And you're hearing me make a joke on the show. It's really not that sexy a topic. But when you hear how she took this on and grew this company, that is very sexy. So enjoy this fantastic conversation with Elyse Dickerson. Elyse, where are you right now?
I am in Phoenix, Arizona, getting ready to attend the Inc. 5000 conference.
How funny is this? We just realized in the pre-chat that you're like 10 minutes from my house.
It's a small world, right? And normally I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, where we're based, but just happened to fly in here last night.
Yeah, a lot of conferences here. So I get spoiled because everyone ends up coming to me and I don't have to travel as much. Usually people are here. How does that feel being at that conference? I believe you've won more than once, right? Let's kind of use this as a full circle moment. Like, you know, you're winning all these awards, your company's kicking tail. Like, how do you feel right now?
It is surreal, honestly. I mean, we started our company 7 years ago, and it's our second year on the Inc. 5000 list. It's surreal. I mean, you take one step, you know, every day, moving a little bit forward, and to find ourselves as one of the fastest growing companies in the nation is a true gift and blessing, and just provides us more fuel to keep going.
Now, did you think you were going to be an entrepreneur when you were growing up and going to school? Tell us about the beginning.
So no, I had no idea what I wanted to do as a kid. I was really athletic. And so I put most of my energy into sports. And what I figured out in retrospect is I learned a lot of leadership skills by leading teams. I had some really great coaches that would, you know, make me team captain as a freshman on the varsity team and really pushed me to develop skills beyond probably my age. And I think that positioned me then, once I finally figured out in my mid-20s that I wanted to go into business, you know, I already had some of those management and leadership skills.
Mm-hmm. And then when you were, you know, going out into, well, let's say when you got through college, what were your first jobs?
Yeah. So my undergraduate degree was from the University of Notre Dame, and I was a graphic design major because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it seemed fun, and I had always been creative. And so my first job then was with the Saks Fifth Avenue fashion office in Chicago. And I really thought fashion was going to be my path. I saw a lot of women in fashion. And I think this was back in the early 90s. And, women role models were few and far between. Most women I knew were just moms and didn't have big careers. And so fashion seemed like something that maybe I could step my toe into. So I started at Saks, and then I went over to JCPenney, and they had a management training program that I went through, and I worked there for probably a year, learned to be a buyer and category manager.
That was a bit of a category switch, though. Saks to pennies.
Sorry. Oh, totally.
Were you kind of bummed with the discount, losing the Saks discount? I'm sorry,
totally.
I got to come at you from the girlfriend angle here.
Totally. Yeah, no disrespect to pennies, but it was not where I shopped.
Yeah.
But it was a great training program. And if nothing else, it taught me I did not want to be in retail.
Why?
So I pretty quickly pivoted and went back to business school, got an MBA, and that is where I focused in entrepreneurship. And really,
what didn't you like about retail? Just curious.
I think, it was really hard to get it right. And I didn't see a lucrative career path for myself. I saw sort of middle management, kind of being stuck in middle management. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I didn't see a future for myself.
Never felt like a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then where did you go after pennies?
So went back to business school at Southern Methodist University in Dallas. So I kind of made my way back home from Chicago and focused in entrepreneurship, mainly because in that major, you got a broad range of classes. So finance and strategy and marketing, and you weren't pigeonholed just into, let's say, accounting or finance. And so entrepreneurship really kind of opened my mind to the larger opportunities within business, but then quickly went to work for a big corporation.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me so when you graduated, where did you go? What was your career path?
Yeah. So my first, I would say, and then last job was with Alcon Labs, and they are a large pharmaceutical company, largest eye care manufacturer in the world. And I started as an associate product manager there, which would be considered in the marketing department, even though I didn't focus in marketing, and worked my way up for 13 years. And really started to just learn how to build brands, how to develop products, how to find product fit in the market. And then I got to travel the world the last 5 years, learning about different healthcare systems and different registration pathways for products in, let's say Thailand versus the UK, because every market is very, very different, especially different from the United States.
Okay. So where were you when you had the idea for this product and starting your own company? That's where I'm needing some help connecting the dots.
Yeah. So I was let go. I was fired. And so the company was going through a huge amount of transition, and people were losing their jobs left and right. And part of my work the last few years at Alcon was evaluating external technologies for them to acquire. So a lot of big companies would rather buy new products from smaller companies, and then they take them global. And so that was probably the initial spark that said, oh, wait, there are people out there that are like, 5 to 10 people starting companies and then selling these products to multinational companies. That sounds really fun. So that was sort of the initial spark. And then when I was let go, hit rock bottom, to be perfectly honest, because my whole identity was wrapped up in being the first female global director for the company and, breaking glass ceilings. And then all of a sudden was without a job.
Yeah.
And
did you think about a life change? Tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of soul searching, a lot of tears, and a lot of, getting back to, okay, who am I really? Does my job define me, or am I bigger than my job? And because I surrounded myself with really positive people that believed in me, which I think is key when you're down and out, I quickly realized that the job didn't define me. I needed to take everything I had learned from there and take all the positive energy that came from those experiences and keep pressing forward. And that's when my co-founder, who started Eosera with me, he was also let go. and he had spent 15 years at the company. And he and I sat down at a corner bakery of all places and started hashing out plans for different products that we could potentially bring to market in the healthcare space.
So that's interesting. So you had a good insight from your previous position, right? Because you had that experience of seeing like what products would take off, which ones they were interested in to buy. You know, when I first saw this, honestly, I'm like, wait, ear care? Who would say, I'm going to start an ear care company? Like, that's sexy. You know, it's just, I'm sorry, it's not. You're sexy. The idea is sexy, like of building this company. But I'm like, ear care. Like I had to kind of get my head around it. Like what was, something was sexy to you about ear care? Something.
Oh, well, and not just ear care. Our first product was for earwax impaction. So
even better.
Definitely not sexy, right? So what I had learned, I had the opportunity throughout my career to sit behind the glass wall in market research and listen to doctors and consumers talk about their lives, their health conditions, and what was missing. And so we took that same approach, and my co-founder Joe and I, we met with as many doctors that would meet with us. So pediatrician, geriatrician, regular GPs, audiologists, anybody that would meet with us. We had a series of questions, and we essentially did our own market research. And we let them tell us what the biggest need was. And lo and behold, it was earwax impaction.
Really? What does that do for someone's health when their earwax does get built up and impacted?
Yes. So the number one problem is you lose your hearing. And so there are people in their 30s and 40s that might think they're losing their hearing literally. They just have a huge clump of wax in the ear that needs to be removed. And what was happening is millions and millions of people were going to their doctors to have wax removed because there was nothing available at your local CVS store, your local pharmacy to do it at home. And what doctors told us is, look, if you could come up with a solution that consumers could use at home, we could then save that appointment for something that's more critical that a doctor really needs to address.
And there was no product that would do it.
So there's been one product that had been on the market since the 1960s. There was no manufacturer paying attention to ear care. And so this is what was sexy, is this wide gap in the market where there was no competition. And for a small, scrappy startup, like that's the most exciting thing you can dream of.
Yeah. So what were the steps? Like when you were sitting there kind of mapping out the strategy and, what happened, what needed to happen next? What did you think through? And then along that journey, did anything surprise you about growing that company?
Oh my gosh. We'll come back to the surprises because yes, there's surprises every single day, but the steps we first took, we had to develop a formula that would work. And so Joe and I, he's a scientist. He has a PhD. I am definitely not a scientist, but I'm curious and willing to continue to learn, which I think all entrepreneurs, like that's the best thing you can do for yourself is just continue to learn new things. And so with our own money, we rented lab space at a university and we started reading every piece of medical literature that we could find on earwax. Probably not shocking. There's not a whole lot of medical literature on earwax, but there were some really creative patent filings from, the 1950s and some literature. And so we just got busy formulating. And so we spent 9 months in this laboratory harvesting human wax. So we had doctors that were sending wax in test tubes to us. And we were testing our formulas on them to see if we could break that wax down quickly and safely. And 9 months later, we had a formula that worked over and over and over again on all types of human wax, because your wax might be different than my wax.
Okay.
So that was the first step.
I didn't know my wax was unique. That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's based on, is it pH or like
myriad of things?
Just curious. I don't want a lot of detail. Let me be clear about like.
Yeah, myriad of things. Your diet.
But everyone's body is different, right?
Yeah. Your diet.
Nutrition. Okay.
Nutrition, your genetic makeup, those kind of things play into the consistency.
Oh, see, I learned something new today. I did not know that my wax was unique.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did that. And that is what I'd call proof of concept that Joe and I needed to prove to ourselves before we were going to go ask, to raise money or even knew if we had a company. So this was proof of concept. It was working. And the next step was we wanted to run a human clinical trial.
Mm-hmm.
And a human clinical trial just means we want to take what we learned in the test tube and then go try it in people that have earwax problems to make sure we could replicate what we were seeing. And that was going to cost about $50,000.
Okay.
And the choice was we could write a check out of our, savings and retirement accounts, or we could try to raise the money or go win the money in a business pitch competition. And that's what I decided to do. There was a business pitch competition. The prize was $50,000. And I looked at Joe and I said, I'm going to win that. I don't know how I'm going to win it, but I'm going to win it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so that was our first seed funding, was a $50,000 check. I will tell you, I worked day and night on a pitch and, presented it to anybody that would listen to me to try to just, get it down to perfection. And it worked. So we took that money, ran a human clinical trial. And that is kind of when the dam started breaking loose. And we knew we had a company because the results were better than expected. And all of a sudden we had investors calling, asking if we were raising money, and, retailers sort of probing around asking, when's this product? When's this coming to market? So that was the moment we knew we had a company.
Okay. And then, what were the steps you took from there to grow to, because obviously the idea is viable. People are interested in investing in it. And then something happened over the last several years that has pushed you into just a whole new trajectory.
Totally. So the first thing I had to do was go raise money to commercialize. And so I found trusted advisors. I had never raised money myself. I had always, had the comfort of a big company with big bank accounts to launch any product. So put together a term sheet, got some really great coaching from people in the private equity world that said, you're going to set your terms and you're going to stay with your terms, and everybody's going to try to change your terms, but you're not going to change them. And so I said, okay, I'm going to follow this advice. And so we raised $1.2 million in the first round, and we used that money then to scale up production. In the meantime, I was starting to try to get in front of major retailers. And the way retailers work is there's one category manager or buyer for ear care, and it's usually coupled with eye care. And so I happened to get a 15-minute meeting with the buyer at CVS. And he said, I'll give you 15 minutes, but that's all you got. And so I flew to Florida, rented a car, went and met him at a meeting that he was attending. And I pitched the opportunity. I said, look, you have a category that is flat to declining. You have no new innovation. You have no manufacturers paying attention. And I'm bringing you something that is a complete game changer for consumers that have earwax issues. And so I said, would you consider taking this in 2,000 stores? Thinking that he was going to say, I'm going to test this in maybe 500 stores and we'll see how it does.
Okay.
And his response was, no, I love it. I want it full chain. I need 8,000, it in 8,000 stores, and I need it in 3 months.
How many stores, just to put in perspective, is that the whole country? What's 8,000 stores?
That's the whole store. That's their entire country.
That's their whole US. Okay.
And that is when I was like,
were you ready for that? Or were you like,
holy shit.
Or it was just one of those good problems to have. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I was not ready.
Yeah.
We didn't have final packaging. We didn't have a contract manufacturer. We didn't have anything.
Oh, you didn't know when to make it. You had to figure this out. This is okay, I want to pause here because I want all of you listening. Elyse did not wait for any of this to make sense yet. That's the wrong way to say it. You didn't wait. I mean, you knew that. I'm sure you had resources you were ready to call, right? But I want this lesson to be really clear for everyone listening right now. You did not wait for the entire plan to be laid out and then go to CVS. No. You said, I want a 15-minute meeting because you knew these things. Also, they could take years. You just don't know, right? You got to get things going.
That is exactly right. And I think the biggest thing I learned is the buyer, the category managers in these stores, they want to have some input. He loved that I said, hey, this is our mocked up packaging. What would you do? What would you like to see on that? And so, not having everything completely finished made him, an early adopter and an early partner.
Yeah.
Which ended up paying off hugely to our, current success.
Yeah. He was kind of your first champion, really, in the industry there.
He was 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. Okay. So where did you go to get this made? And is that an easy thing, or does that lead to a lot of challenges, manufacturing?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So of course we did have some resources. We had people that, we definitely leaned a lot on the people that we had met along the way in our career. And, one piece of advice I always share is don't burn any bridges and give freely of yourself, because you never know when you're going to need those people. And so in the early days of starting our company, we called, anyone and everyone we knew in manufacturing. And we said, hey, what would you do? Who would you recommend? And so we found a contract manufacturer in Florida that agreed to make our first 80,000 units, which was going to be our initial shipment into CVS stores. What I didn't know, and so we flew down there and, we met with them, saw the production, how it was going to be made. What I didn't know was how much quality assurance work had to go into it, stability work had to go into it to make sure that what we were putting on the shelf, was stable and didn't change over time. You can think about your makeup or, things can expire.
So, because you couldn't be super sure, without the evidence of that.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And FDA requires that, all this is documented. And so we were just running at Mach speed to get all of this done. And we made the delivery. I have no idea how we did it, but we just never let up, and we weren't going to miss the opportunity. And I think that's like, any entrepreneur that gets the opportunity is going to make it happen.
Yeah.
They're just going to find a way.
So CVS was your first big customer for retail. And then, did it take off? Obviously it did well, but did the sales happen right away, or did it take a while for it to get going?
So here's what's so cool is it took off right away. And in the first 12 months, CVS grew their ear care category by 35%. And it was all because of us. So that buyer became, he became buyer of the year for CVS. They gave us an award as, supplier of the year for bringing innovation. So it was a test, but it was a super successful test in terms of what it did for the category. And then I was able to take that story and replicate it in other retailers.
Okay. Wow. And so, the awards you've won, which, the list is just ongoing, which one are you most proud of, or maybe not even an award, but that milestone that you've reached?
I think, the first $1 million we made, I think that was just the biggest, and it seems small now, but it was such a huge deal to us to make that first $1 million. And to be able to look at my business partner and say, oh my gosh, we did that. Can you believe we did that?
Yeah.
It's just a really nice moment to pause and congratulate yourself. I think we don't do that enough as entrepreneurs, and especially as women, to just say, you did it.
Yeah. What are you doing differently in your company that was not being done at companies that you worked for prior?
Yeah, before we even decided on the product that we were going to make, we firmly believed that people were the engine of any company. And we felt like corporate America was losing its way, and that people were more numbers and seen just as a resource and not as a vital contributing factor to the success of the company. And so we wanted people to be first at the center of everything. And I had been studying this idea of conscious capitalism, which just means, it's not just all about the money. You have a higher purpose over the money or the profits. And so people was our purpose. And so no matter if it was our investor, our retailers, our employees, we were going to think about them in the context of any important decision and make sure that we were taking care of the people first and then let the money follow.
Can you give an example of that to help people understand, of a different way that you think about these decisions?
Yeah. So a huge one, and it's a failure too. So you're getting a double whammy with this story. In 2020, we realized that one of our products that was our fastest growing product at the time, we had misdated it. So meaning the expiration date was wrong on the package. It wasn't going to hurt anybody, but it wasn't correct. And so we had a decision as a management team and me as a CEO to say, do we leave that product out there? Because financially, it's definitely the best thing to do. And just keep moving forward. We'll correct it going forward. Or do we recall all that product and it will cost over $1 million and we will have mud on our face with all of our, retailers, but it's the right thing to do because it's the right thing for the longevity of our company, for the consumers that buy our product, for the retailers at the end of the day, it's the right thing. And the longevity of the company is for my employees, right? That they have a place they work, that they trust their leadership and trust the leadership's judgment. And so we made...
Yeah, I think it's just going to be more important now going forward too.
Yeah. And so that, you weigh that so people at the very center of the decision. And then it became very clear that we're going to recall this product. And the most amazing thing happened. So you can imagine I was terrified, a lot of tears. You feel like a failure. You're not sure if it's going to put your company under, but it's the right thing to do. And every single retailer that I called said, we got you, no problem. Thank you for being transparent with us. We'll pull it off the shelf. We will replace it the moment you have product ready to ship. And then our investors, who I was, terrified of letting down,
right?
Same thing. They're like, Elyse, we believe in you. You got this. Whatever you need, you tell us.
That means you really must have made conscious choices in who you aligned with too.
100%. Yeah, we definitely only took money from investors that had a conscious capitalism mindset. We turned down investors that were willing to write, $500,000 checks, but it was for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely an important point that you bring out, like align yourself with people that have similar values and mission.
Yeah, because you could have been in a situation, you've heard about this, where the investors do not agree with how, you want to do things. And especially when you're putting people first. So that's fantastic. What are you like outside your company? What's your life like? What's a day like? What's a week like? Just give us a little insight behind the curtain.
Yeah. So I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm an athlete. So I have 2 teenage children, a boy and a girl, and they're both in high school. And I have a husband with a high-powered career as well in the art world. He's an art historian at the National Gallery of Art.
Ooh, that's interesting. He's an interesting man.
Totally. He's great to travel with.
Wow, I bet.
He commutes. So all week he is in DC, and then he comes home on the weekend to be with me and the kids in Fort Worth, Texas.
Probably that sounds like it could work really well. Is it okay to say out loud? Is that okay to say Monday through Friday? I'm on, it's my world. And then I become the wife on the weekend, like that's cool.
It's fabulous. I have to say, I think every marriage should have this.
I like it. No, the more everyone I know has been in this type of situation it's funny, the beginning of the marriage, maybe they complain, but then later, down the road, you hear from all these women, they're like, oh, and it just works really well.
Yeah. I mean, we're 18 years into this, so I can attest to it. It works. It totally works.
That's awesome.
And then I believe in taking care of yourself. And so my morning always starts with a workout. I'm mainly a cyclist now, used to be a triathlete, and I have a great group that I cycle with, and it's not only for my physical health, but my mental health, to just be outside, be with friends, having fun, challenging myself, but not taking myself too seriously either.
Yeah, good. Okay. Well, we're excited to, get our hands on the product. Should we have ear care needs? Tell us where we can learn more about you before I ask my final question.
Absolutely. So our website is Eosera, EOSERA.com. And we have a comprehensive line of products for earwax, ear itch, ear pain, irrigation, anything you think about with your ears, you can find it from us.
The whole new world. Tell me the story of the name of Eosera.
Oh, yes. So Eos is the Greek goddess of dawn or new beginnings, and era is time. And it was a time for new beginnings.
I love that. Now that is a sexy name for an unsexy product. So I love that. So for all the women listening right now around the world, can you give 3 great pieces of advice?
Yes. So one we've already talked about is, give freely of yourself, because you never know who or when you're going to need other people. The second one is, I have learned really quickly to just ask for help. That you, as an entrepreneur, I cannot know it all, but I can learn it. And so I make phone calls weekly to different people with different areas of expertise, just to brainstorm and just to, have them challenge, whether it's about manufacturing or branding or some legal question. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think as women, we sometimes shut it down. I think we have to know it all, but we don't. And then third, enjoy the journey. I mean, we only get one life. You don't love what you're doing, maybe stop and evaluate and take a different path or take a different turn. That it should be fun. It should be challenging, but fun. Yeah.
This was great. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you enjoy the conference. And I may be over there. So if I am, I'll come say hello.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Yeah. And just thank you for giving your advice to all the women on the show today. And I hope to be in touch again soon.
All right. Thanks, Allie.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Glambition Radio. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you automatically get my new shows every week. Also, I'd love if you left us a review so more women like you can discover us. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Pandora, and other major platforms. And I'd love to hear from you personally. Come join the conversation on social. Instagram is my happy place lately, and that's Allie Brown Official, but you can find links to my other platforms at alliebrown.com. Glambition Radio is the elevated conversation for women leaders, and I'm honored you tuned in.